I am back today to discuss the fighting shotgun. We're going to start off by discussing the definition of a fighting shotgun, or at least the definition for the purposes of this video. We're going to talk about the gauge that I would recommend for a fighting shotgun, as well as the action, whether it be semi-auto, pump action, or brake barrel, as well as a lot of other factors including ergonomics, ease of use, brand, and reliability. If you haven't caught the other videos in this series, we started off with the fighting handgun, we moved to the fighting rifle, and now we're up to the fighting shotgun. We're going to be doing a few more videos in this series, so if you like this idea, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell. But let's start off with the definition. And for me, I am looking for a reliable shotgun to defend your life with, inside, but also outside of the home. We're also going to be looking at a ton of different price points, including fighting shotguns, starting at right at about $200 and moving up to about $2,000. So there's going to be something for everybody, depending on your budget. Now, with that being said, let's start off with the next point, gauge. And right off the bat, I can hands down recommend the 12 gauge shotgun. The versatility of the loads are endless. They have everything from less lethal options, birdshot, buckshot, slugs, specialty rounds, and even cleaning rounds for the 12 gauge shotgun. Now 20 gauge would be my next recommendation if you could not handle the recoil impulse of a 12 gauge shotgun. 20 gauge is still very effective, but there is nowhere near the rounds available for the 20 gauge shotgun. So right off the bat, I'm recommending the 12 gauge, and I don't want to get too much into detail other than the fact that it's just so many options for the 12 gauge shotgun. Again, if you can't handle the recoil of a 12 gauge, I would go to the 20 gauge. And if for some reason you still can't handle the recoil of a 20 gauge, you may reevaluate the shotgun option for you for personal defense and switch to another platform. But the 410 is also available, but you start losing a lot of ballistic performance with the 410, again, making it just an option for those people who are ultra recoil sensitive. The next thing I want to discuss is the action of the shotgun itself, and we're going to break this into two different categories, and this is going to be the main section of the video. We're going to start off with pump action shotguns. One, those are the most affordable options out there when it comes to combat style shotguns or personal defense style shotguns. And they're also the most reliable in the sense of the fact that you can operate them with a wide variety of loads, no matter if they are less lethal options that won't actually cycle the action of a semi-auto or just weak recoiling loads in general. They're also a little bit easier to use and understand than a semi-auto because you simply load the rounds in the tube, pump the shotgun, and they eject and feed the next one. With the semi-auto, there's just a little bit more complexity, but not a ton to make a ton of difference if you've been practicing down at the range. Now, one of the first things I would recommend is find a reputable brand, and everything you see in front of me is actually made by Mossberg. This is the Mossberg entry line, which is the Maverick 88. This is what I would highly recommend for my favorite best pump action shotgun for right around $200. The next step up is the Mossberg 500. It's a more well-built version of the Maverick 88, and it's got the classic history and reputation of being an incredibly reliable pump-action shotgun. Above that would be the Mossberg 590, or in this case, the 590A1, and you get even a heavier-built receiver and a more reliable shotgun in general when it comes to durability down at the range in adverse conditions. These are all three I would recommend, with kind of the backup being the Remington 870. I also own a lot of Remington 870s, and they are great down at the range, but there's a few features at the Mossberg that I like a little bit better than the 870, including the ability to load and ease of use. In a combat style or personal defense style shotgun, I highly recommend you get comfortable with reloading your shotgun because of limited round counts. Even these tube extended shotguns that hold 8 in the tube or 7 in the tube are still very limited to other defensive options on the market, so reloading is going to be key, and Mossberg does this a lot better than the 870. The loading gate on a Mossberg actually closes up inside the action, and you can load the tube very easily without getting anything stuck. Whereas a lot of lifters on the Maverick 88 actually stay down, and you have to depress the lifter and then load the shotgun, and sometimes your thumb can get caught on the lifter. Now with practice, this can be very minimized, but with gloves and adverse conditions, again, we're talking about a fighting shotgun. We're not going to plan the weather out. We're not going to pick a really nice range day to go out and make sure the conditions are great when we have to defend our lives with it. We're going to have to use this in every condition, and the Mavericks as well as the Mossbergs are great for this because they all utilize the same lifter action that tucks it inside the bolt itself while you're loading the shotgun. So for me, I am recommending a Mossberg series pump action shotgun. With that being said, let's talk about the reliability of the Mossbergs and the Mavericks. And I've had about 10 Mavericks or Mossbergs over the years with none failing. The worst case scenario I've ever had with a Maverick 88 would be the fact that one time it just didn't love to inject around occasionally 1 out of 25 shots. It was simply a parts replacement and we were good to go, but it was actually bad from the factory. And after they swapped it out, we were running great. In fact, one of my very first guns was a Maverick 88, and it's still running great to this day with no issues whatsoever, with thousands of rounds through it, and they go bang every time you pull the trigger. Other than that one poor example of the Maverick 88 that I had, everything has worked wonderfully, and these seem to be some of the most reliable shotguns. For instance, when I was running 870s, I probably owned 4 or 5, and 2 of them occasionally gave me lifter problems, just like that Maverick 88, but the numbers, just for me at least anyways, are better on the Mavericks and the Mossbergs. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the 870s. They're an incredibly reliable action, but I just tend to go over the Mossbergs over those. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What would you recommend? So for the pump action shotgun and for the purposes of today's video, I'm going to recommend the Maverick 88 for $200 and under, the Mossberg 500 for $400 and under, and for $600 and under, I'm going to recommend the 598-1. Now let's move on to the semi-auto, and we'll kind of compare and contrast after that. The next item I want to discuss are the semi-auto shotgun platforms. And this is going to be a little bit more in depth because there's a few different brands I recommend and a few different style semi-auto shotguns. You've got a few on the market. One would be an inertia-driven shotgun. It uses the explosion of a round to kick the bolt back, and they're a little bit more versatile in the types of loads they can use. But unfortunately, these are a little bit slower actions designed for waterfowl guns and hunting applications that don't necessarily translate well to a defensive or fighting shotgun. For instance, the Benelli M2 is an inertia-driven shotgun, and I can in fact outrun the Benelli M2 if I pull the trigger fast enough, meaning if I bear down on the gun and just really get at the trigger, I can pull the trigger before the bolt is all the way seated, and you can outrun an inertia-driven shotgun. Now that can be mitigated with different loads and tuning the shotgun, but honestly, an inertia-driven shotgun is best for a waterfowl gun. We're going to be using a wide variety of light birdshot loads and maybe even a competition shotgun. I recommend a gas-operated shotgun like the Benelli M4 with a 1301 Tactical for your semi-auto shotgun. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about some of the gas-operated shotguns. Now, also, I do want to give that caveat that not every inertia-driven shotgun can be outrun, but I do want to make the mention because a lot of people are making tactical versions of the Benelli M2 or relying on that as a combat shotgun. But for me, I've been running them down at the range and end up with the dead trigger because I'm pulling my follow-up shots too fast. So that is something to consider. Now, the first one on the list is actually a Mossberg 930, and here we are visiting a Mossberg again. And this would be one of the most affordable semi-auto shotguns that I would consider for a fighting shotgun. Now, there's a lot of Turkish imports coming in the market right now that are working really good. Unfortunately, I've seen some mixed reliability issues. I've also seen some quality control issues. Now, the Turkish imports that I've been utilizing have had no issues whatsoever, so you can check out those reviews. But for about the same price, you can get this base model, tube extended, kind of defensive Mossberg 930. Now, I picked this one up for right at about $400, but I think retail you can grab them for about $500, maybe a little bit less, depending on the configuration you select. This one has gone bang every time you pull the trigger. It's got that 18.5-inch to 20-inch barrel, depending on the configuration, and a tube extension to give you a few more rounds. Now, this is what I was discussing earlier with the 870s. The lifters on all of these semi-autos are going to be up or down when you are loading the shotgun. So what I'm looking for on a lot of these shotguns is how easy it is to load and how easy is it for your thumb to get stuck, and the 930 is a great option. Easy to load, great controls, large bolt release. It just works every time you pull the trigger with light loads and heavy loads, and that's what earns it the more affordable spot on the list of semi-auto shotguns, the Mossberg 930 in almost any configuration. The next thing I want to discuss are actually two options from Beretta, and you're going to see a theme here. All of the semi-autos are either going to come from the Mossberg lineup, the Beretta lineup, or the Benelli lineup. Those just seem to be my go-to for combat style or defensive shotguns. Now, the Beretta A300 Ultima Patrol was sent out to the channel by Beretta for me to try, but the 1301 Tactical I purchased myself, and we're going to start off with the Beretta A300. Now, this is a great shotgun, especially in this current configuration. You get things like the addition of a pick rail at the top, very extended controls, which makes this easy to operate, an easy loading gate underneath. You also get, again, that shorter barrel, tube extension, QD slots, and M-lock slots up at the front. Very nice texturing and grip, and overall, this is a refined and elegant defensive shotgun that truly punches well above its weight class. So if you're looking to spend a little bit more, you can find these for about $7.99 at a few different places. And this is a great option for that $800 semi-auto combat shotgun. Probably one of the best on the market, at least that I've tried and tested anyways. And again, it's incredibly reliable and robust with a wide variety of ammunition, including slugs, buckshot, birdshot, you name it, this thing cycles it. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned previously in the pump action shotgun or the semi-auto shotgun is the stock configuration, whether going pistol grip or traditional stock. Now, that's more of a preference, but I highly recommend going with a pistol grip for a defensive or combat style shotgun. And the main reason is the fact that you can actually fire this without being shouldered in a very controllable manner. So if you have to clear a steering column of your car and you have to pull the shotgun and break your shoulder, you can actually still control the shotgun with 2 points of contact very simply and engage your target. Also, if you're going from door to door or hallway to hallway or room to room, you can get a better grip on the shotgun and pull it around corners. And if somebody grabs the barrel, you have more control over the shotgun if you are utilizing the grip. Now, there's much better people that can give you way better advice in this channel. So definitely don't take my words for any type of tactics or anything like that. This is simply my perspective and my reasoning after shooting both a traditional stock and pistol grip shotgun down at the range in a wide variety of scenarios, including shooting in and around a vehicle. I've done a lot on the channel. It's just a little bit easier to control a pistol grip shotgun. Now, moving along from the Beretta A300, we are going to go up to what I think is the pinnacle of performance for a combat shotgun, the Beretta 1301 Tactical. And you'll say, hey, wait a minute, that's an M4. Why aren't you talking about that one? I will in a second, but I think this is the best. You get all of the oversized controls, the pick rail included, the, again, shorter barrel, M-lock, tube extension, good grips, but this time you get a pistol grip as well as an adjustable cheek riser. And this is the fastest cycling shotgun that I've ever fired. There's no way to outrun it. It gets back on target quick, and this thing is a monster down at the range. This would also double for a great 3-gun shotgun, but it's because it's so quick and easy to control. The semi-auto shotguns are going to have a little bit less recoil impulse than their counterparts when it comes to pump action shotguns, so that's a great opportunity. If you felt like the pump action shotguns maybe just a touch too much recoil, you can try a semi-auto. We've already talked about the added complexity. It's not that much. You've got that bolt release, you've got the lifter to load with, and you've got the action itself, but it's not overly complicated to learn. And if you want more details about any of these individual shotguns, you can subscribe to my channel and check out the full overviews. But the 1301 Tactical just seems to be a little bit quicker, a little bit easier to get on target than the A300, and you're looking at an MSRP of right around $1,300 to $1,500, depending on the configuration you select. And now with their Gen 2s out, the Gen 2s are a little bit higher. You can expect the prices to drop to here on some of these. Again, closer to $1,350, $1,400 bucks, which you could save a penny. Now, probably one of the biggest recognized or the most recognized shotguns for a combat style shotgun would be the Benelli M4. This is a Marine version with updates. Now, parts compatibility and parts interchangeability are going to be better on the M4 than the 1301 Tactical. In my opinion, the 1301 Tactical comes kitted out and fitted out a lot better and a lot cheaper than the M4. But if you don't like something, the parts are not as interchangeable as the M4, and that's where you get some advancements. Now, unfortunately, to get the M4 as good as the 1301, in my opinion, you're going to have to do things like swap out that bolt release. You can see how small it is versus this one. The charging handle, much larger on this one than this one. The rail system was already swapped out, and you do have to add a tube extension since this was imported and this was built in the US, so you're going to get a few different options. Now, actually, I say this was built in the US. Nope, this one was imported and then added on in the US. So there's going to be some differences here. So this one is made in Italy and then imported, but it already comes with a tube extension built in, whereas you have to add this because it's imported with a cut down tube. So something to consider when you're picking up the Benelli M4. Now, the Benelli M4 has been incredibly reliable down at the range, and some would say it's got a way better proven track record, and it does. It's been used in the armed forces, law enforcement, and civilian hands alike a lot longer than the 1301 Tactical has. It's really proven itself out. I've never had a failure with it. It goes bang every time you pull the trigger, and it is an absolutely great shotgun. So if you were looking for a combat style defensive or fighting shotgun for a semi-auto version, both of these are absolutely great options, and I would be happy with either of these being my one and only semi-auto combat style shotgun. So I hope you guys liked the video. I hope it gives you a ton of different options, whether it be a pump action gun, whether it be a semi-auto gun, all the way from $200 to about $2,000 for a tricked out M4. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm definitely not perfect, and this is just one man's opinion. Beat me up. Tear me a new one. I want to hear your thoughts in that comment section about a fighting shotgun. I also want to hear your thoughts about what you want to see next. I'm actually considering doing some fighting bolt guns, fighting 22s, and fighting sub-9 guns, but I want to hear your thoughts about the next part of this video series. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.